Welcome to Steelers Today. I'm Dejan Kovacevic. He's Dale Lolley. We're both from DK Pittsburgh Sports, and the Steelers lost this game by a count of 36-28. And Dale, that doesn't even come close to summarizing anything that just happened down there.
It's amazing that I was amazed, first of all, in the first half that they were only down 23-0.
Oh, yeah.
At the end of that, they gave up 300 yards of offense in the first half. It was just
200 of it on the ground.
It was just as ugly could be. And then Kirk Cousins is Kirk Cousins, and he let them back into it. He did make a throw late in the game that to KJ Osborne that ended up being the winning score. But just
and Ben Roethlisberger is Ben Roethlisberger, and that's the other thing that happened in the second half. Ben, before we get into the heavy dose of bad that was present here, I feel obligated to point out that I don't know what they show or don't show on TV. Okay, we don't have television going on here in the press boxes, but I can tell you from watching Ben and his body language in the second half, not that he wasn't determined in the first, okay, but he was just, give me the ball. I want this.
Yeah.
And whether that's the whole legacy thing, he's on his last legs or whatever else here, whatever it was, Dale, it was real. And you could tell all of a sudden the rest of the offense was just like, whoa.
It's, and I asked him after the game, he seemed to be frustrated at times in the first half, and you could see the frustration.
And here's his response to Dale's question.
Probably. I try to do my best not to, but sometimes it's hard not to, and I hate that because I don't want to seem like I'm frustrated at anything in particular, but just a general frustration, I think, sometimes.
And I think that's, it's almost like he's dealing with his children here, and he wants to put a good face on for the kids.
And who are those children exactly, Dale?
Well, there's a lot of children.
Okay, and what positions are they playing, Dale?
Well, at least one of them plays wide receiver in particular.
That is true.
And
the rest all play on the offensive line.
Yeah.
And, the running back, too, though he's an exception, a grown-up in a lot of ways. The dealing with... We'll get to Claypool, second segment. Okay?
Yeah.
You want to stay for the good stuff?
Yeah.
But the offensive line, Dale, I can't get past it as a topic. I know it's not the sexiest, hottest topic, and everyone's going to talk about Pat Freiermuth and how Heath Miller would have caught that ball, or Benny Cunningham or Randy Grossman would have caught that ball. The fact of the matter is Harrison Smith came in and made a play,
yeah.
Swatted it out of his hands. Does Freiermuth feel undoubtedly like he should have held on to it and everything? But Ben is surrounded by a lot of that right now.
Yeah, I mean, they're just so young on that offensive side of the ball, and so that's why I feel Roethlisberger feels like he has to be that steadying force, and so a lot's being asked of him. When you get sacked 5 times in the first half, I mean, it's just that's a lot. And they were bringing the house at him, and the offensive line wasn't picking it up. Now, he's part of that with the protections and those things, but they have to be better. I mean, there were times where they had 3 guys blocking one, and somebody's running free to the quarterback.
And to the Vikings' credit, they did some pretty neat things to mix those up. They were, like you said, they would stack a couple of people against one guy. Steelers just had no adjustments. They had no communications. You know why? Look at who's on that line. Look how long they've been on that line. Or even guys that have played in the NFL are new to this line and to this group.
Yeah, and
also they're terrible. I can't leave that out. They're also terrible, which is a problem. Kendrick Green is terrible.
That's not getting better this year. These guys, Kendrick Green's not getting stronger this year.
He's not progressing.
That's not going to happen. It's a strength issue with him. He's going to get walked back to the quarterback when they put a 330-pound nose tackle on him, like the ones like Michael Pierce, who the Vikings have. That's going to be the issue. But it doesn't explain away guys allowing other players to come in free and making the wrong blocking assignments. Okay, if you get beat physically, that's one thing. Mm-hmm. But that's getting beat mentally, and that's different.
It's reads and communications,
Right.
too. It's not even necessarily, although there are going to be cases where it's isolated. It's an individual that struggles with it and just doesn't go. You heard Ben say at one point that there was, on the Harrison Smith sack, actually, where he said, well, there was an offensive lineman who was supposed to go over there and instead went the wrong direction. Well, there goes Ben.
Yeah. I mean, and that's, that's what good defensive schemes do. And Mike Zimmer's he's an excellent defensive coordinator. I don't know if he's a great head coach, but he was coordinating against Roethlisberger in the early part of this decade when he was with Cincinnati. So he knows the tricks to the trade. That's how he got this job with the Vikings. He's an excellent defensive mind, and they scheme things up well on the short week. Sometimes you do have to give the other team credit. They did things really well. Dalvin Cook went out there and ran really well.
For a half.
The Steelers, yes, they made adjustments. How about that? They shut some things down in the second half. It allowed them an opportunity to get back into the game. The Vikings, as Najee Harris told us, went to more too high looks in the second half.
The Steelers also are free to make adjustments sooner than the third quarter, and that would be a welcome development.
It's difficult for the defense to do that. It's difficult for the defense to do that when the offense keeps going 3 and out. How you have 30 seconds on the sideline to make an adjustment? That's not enough time.
I understand. When one guy is running the football on every play and he's running for 20, 30 yards at a chunk, that's not an adjustment that should require, hey, let's wait till we get into the locker room, fellas. You put more guys in the box.
And then Justin Jefferson beat you over the top.
At that point, I'd take it. At that point, I would show Justin Jefferson where the end zone is. When we come back, what you really want to hear about, Chase Claypool. Welcome back to Steelers Today, and we're going to talk about Chase Claypool, but I feel like out of fairness, again, because we try to do that sort of thing, that it's worth mentioning that the Steelers did put up a lot of points in the second half, and that Claypool was, in fact, a part of that. Sometimes a reluctant, bizarre part of it, but he was part of it. He made a spectacular catch that neither you nor I could believe happened, actually. We had to look at it again like, wow, really? That was the one that got the DPI.
That's the thing that's so maddening about the guy, is that the talent is through the roof. I mean, he has, top-notch talent, but I question sometimes the motives or the determination, whatever you want to call it. I think the desire is there to be great, but is it there to be great for the right reason?
That's the key.
Yeah.
It's if he is thinking about whatever it is that he thinks about, when you go, your team is driving down the field, okay? I mean, you're ready for the biggest comeback in franchise history. And you're doing it with your Canton-bound Hall of Fame quarterback flinging bombs. And you think to yourself, for a split second, somewhere in your head, in the Patrick Star head, the one with the cobwebs and everything, right? You ever seen the episode of SpongeBob where Patrick Star opens his head? And you go, this is the time to celebrate.
I didn't think we'd be getting a SpongeBob reference.
It's Patrick Star. There's a difference. This is the time, Dale, to celebrate my first down. This is the time to get up and strike a little bit of a pose. And you saw Trey Turner come over and have to grab.
What the hell are you doing?
Give me the ball. Yeah. And what's worse, I thought, than all of that was that they go back. Turner gets the ball, runs it back to the line of scrimmage. They snap it, and he's mad. Claypool's mad that they did that to him.
Yeah. I get nothing to add to that.
Well, here,
nothing.
I asked Claypool about it, and this was his response.
Definitely got to be better. I got tackled near the hash, did my little first down point, and went to hand the ball to the ref. He had just got there.
Right.
So even if I got right up and looked for him, he just wasn't there. So he ran down the field to come get the ball, and the ball got knocked out of my hands. That's what cost us time. But I definitely do have to be better. I knew the situation. I know I'm near the hash. I know the ball's placed on the hash. But I got to be better, and the ball shouldn't get knocked out of my hands. Should be.
You buy that he knew what the situation was?
I think he knew after the game what the situation was. I think in the heat of the moment, the me first, look at me attitude took over.
Yeah. What do you do with that? Who thinks that's is corrigible a word? I know incorrigible is. Corrigible, is that corrigible? Is that fixable?
I think it's like gruntled.
Okay.
Gruntle's a word.
Gruntled. I never use gruntled. It's
Nobody
only
uses
disgruntled.
gruntled, but people do get disgruntled.
Well,
and there are a lot of disgruntled Steeler fans out there right now.
I would say that Mike Tomlin also was disgruntled.
He's very
with
disgruntled.
He made that very clear afterward. He said that, basically, is
I asked him if he benched him, and he said yes.
He said yes, like that. And then Claypool comes in to answer questions from us. You have to understand, in COVID era, they never bring in someone into the room who hasn't had a great game, like Ahkello Witherspoon came in. Yay! You want to ask about his 2 interceptions. This was deliberate. This came from the head coach. Understand that he came in, Claypool did, and answered questions.
You're going to come in and answer for that. That stuff. And, again, we miss so many things not being able to go into the locker room.
Yeah, we wouldn't have missed that in the locker room, right?
Yeah, I mean,
you just wait by his stall till he
would have
gets
had a crowd around him, and he would have had to answer questions about that. So kudos to the Steelers PR department for making him available.
And I told them that afterward. Yeah.
It's you hope that these are teachable moments. Again, I go back to the youth of this team. He's a second-year player. That's not an excuse. That's for his actions. That's not an excuse for his actions. It just isn't. You have to be better than that. You have to know the situation. You just have to. It's just.
I see he says he did, but then Dale.
He didn't know.
Okay, but let's say that he did. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt here. To me, that's even more damning.
Well,
if you knew the situation and you still had something in the head that says, first down, baby. What is that?
He's shown over and over again that he has some immaturity to him, which is why he got benched. The penalty that he took on the Steelers opening drive cost them 15 yards.
Cost him the drive, according to Ben.
Yeah,
Ben didn't exactly make much of a secret
Ben
there.
was making no excuse for change. At least 2 or 3 times I asked him about James Washington. I asked him about Pat Freiermuth.
He loved talking about those guys.
And he talked about those guys. They care. They get it.
They get it.
He didn't say that about Chase Claypool. And
no, he said that's Tomlin's problem.
Right.
That's for him to address.
And it is. It is. And I thought Mike Tomlin did address it. At the same time, it's difficult to do that in game because you're still trying to win the football game.
And there's only one way to win the football game, and that's to do what they did, and that's to start throwing bombs up. Yeah. Well, you're going to do that and handcuff Ben by taking away his best deep threat.
Yeah. Does that mean something won't be different? When Mike Tomlin talks about lineup changes, do we see more James Washington moving forward?
Oh, I have no doubt about that at this point.
I think that's pretty clear. Yeah. Chase Claypool leads the league in penalties
by
for
a
wide
margin
receivers.
of 3. He has
by
8.
A lot.
The next guy has 5.
Now. Really, he had 9 going into this game because he covered up in the penalty with the Chukwuekwor for, of all people. It was actually on Claypool for covering him up.
Okay,
that didn't get it.
It's not this kind of penalty,
right.
but
he's
selfish
leading the league. Penalties like that where you get the second man in,
and for what?
Yeah.
Who are you impressing? Like, who is it that's back home that's watching, the Claypool, family or friends or whatever that's watching that on TV going, yeah, do the first down thing, man. Yeah. That's what we want to see. Come on,
Point your finger in that guy's face because he hits you late, or hits you as you got up off the ground. That's just selfishness.
Yeah. Anyway, you don't want to hear any more about this. So we're going to call it a night here. We have a bunch of writing to do and everything else here. Thanks for watching Steelers Today. And we'll have more when the Steelers are back in action.